Over 20 years ago, a lady called Margaret Jones was singing in the choir she was in at her church in Fleetwood in Lancashire. She felt a hand on hers while she was singing and simply assumed the organist had come to join them singing. However, the organist hadn't moved. After the service, a member of the congregation said to her, "An angel was here, and he stood next to you, Margaret, and touched you on your hand." Margaret said she felt the pressure of what seemed like a human hand touching my own. This absolutely incredible experience for Margaret is consistent with many other accounts of people encountering angels today. As we commence Advent and our Angels Festival starts, it's worth remembering how many people have said that they have had such encounters. 11% of women and 8% of men state that they have had an angelic encounter. Angels reflect God's glory, which is why I wonder why Margaret experienced this as she was singing to God. Angels serve God, who is to be worshipped alone, not the heavenly beings themselves. There are many reasons they appear. It may be to worship, as Margaret discovered. It may be an intervention. It may be an encouragement. And it may be to bring us a message. In our Old Testament reading from Genesis 18, Abraham has 3 visitors who are described as men. Yet, Abraham recognizes them not just as men, but as something more, as he rushes out to his tent and bowed low to the ground when they arise. The passage says that the Lord spoke to Abraham, yet we can deduce from later in this chapter and in chapter 19 that 2 of the 3 went on to Sodom and Gomorrah and were described as angels. The remaining man has been variously described in different commentaries I have read as possibly another angel, as the Son of Man who would later be incarnate as Jesus, or God himself. There are pros and cons to each of these views, but whatever he was, God was clearly speaking with Abraham. And more importantly, there was a message. It was, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Sarah was well past childbearing years, and both were very old at this point. This action would have been a miraculous event, but yet it happened. Sarah did indeed bear a son, Isaac, and from him the nation of Israel began, fulfilling an early promise to Abraham upon leaving his home in Haran that he would be a great nation. And for us all, that promise that goes through Abraham is that all nations will be blessed. That includes us. The fulfillment of this, the birth of this child, is important for us all. It is through the descendants of Abraham that God has revealed himself to the whole world. This would find ultimate fulfillment in the coming of another child, Jesus, the Son of God, whose past and future we reflect as we journey through Advent. Yet Sarah was skeptical. We read she laughed, possibly through many years of disappointment and her age. God rebukes this by saying, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" She covers her sudden fear with a lie. I think we can all relate to that. Yet, in all this, God keeps his promise and defies the skepticism. It wasn't too hard for him. God was faithful. The heavenly visitors, the angels, and the Lord himself, via whatever means, had brought a message of hope for Abraham and Sarah, but ultimately one for us all. Nothing is too hard for God. As we reflect on angels and Advent, and as we journey through these next 4 weeks, let us worship him with the angels. We may not see or sense those angels like Margaret did, but they will be worshipping God. Let us do likewise and remember God's faithfulness is anything too hard for the Lord. Amen.